What's going on, guys? It's Hunter here, and we are finally back from a trip. I've been gone for a whole week. Normally, if I do this in the future, I will upload videos while I'm there or have them set. But I didn't really have them set. I didn't really know how I wanted to handle it. But we are finally back. Don't worry, I didn't go anywhere. I just took the week off practically and enjoyed myself over my school's fall break. And we're back here with a top 25. Let's get right into that. Last week, I took the top 25 off. As you know, I didn't upload any videos last week. Everything will go back to regular schedule this week. However, we missed last week. And trust me, I watched college football last week. But there's a lot of stuff that happened. And we're going to get right into that, okay? So we're going to go straight into it. Honorable mentions, all right? Utah, Arkansas, and Clemson. Clemson looks really bad, but they keep winning. So as long as they keep winning, they're not going to move from that honorable mention spot. And they got a big test coming up against Pitt this coming up week, and they're not favored, which is actually surprising. Other honorable mentions, Arkansas, which they got beat by, I think now has Auburn, pretty good Auburn team. They proved themselves a little bit here. Auburn's probably the most inconsistent team in the country, though, to be honest with you. But they proved themselves a little bit here to be a not like an SEC contender or anything, but like a good little solid top 25 team. And Arkansas lost to them, and I think Arkansas should be right out of the top 25. Next is Utah. Utah has made a little bit of a comeback here. They're inconsistent as well. They just beat, man, who'd they beat? Well, I can't remember who Utah beat this past week, but it's a pretty good team. And they weren't supposed to win, and they did. And they also beat USC at home the week prior to that. And they didn't just beat them, they killed them. So, Utah is definitely a team that, like, they're right there. They're right there. They just got to make those improvements, and those losses at the beginning of the year are going to hurt them. So let's get into the top 25. Number 25 is Purdue. Purdue is a team that just upset Iowa. They're a 4-2 team. They're weird. They're weird where they can win big time. And we kind of saw that Iowa wasn't as good when they played Penn State. If it wasn't for Sean Clifford getting hurt, Iowa probably wouldn't have won that game. But Purdue took advantage of them, and they took advantage of them hard. And Purdue didn't just beat them, they killed them. They put them through the road stomper. And Purdue might be one of the best 4-2 teams right now. If they could play like they did against Iowa week in and week out, which is their max potential in my opinion, they'd be a really good team, like a top 15 team. But they haven't done that, so therefore they can't be in the top 15. So I got them at 25. 24 is UTSA. They're not going to play anyone all year. They haven't played anyone, but they keep winning. They're a really solid football team. They're just going to keep winning. They're going to go undefeated probably. I don't see any team on their schedule that could challenge them, if I can remember correctly. So, props to UTSA, beating the teams in front of them. That's all they can do. Number 23 is Texas A&M. Another really weird team that's 4-2. If Purdue's not the best 4-2 team, it's probably Texas A&M and Auburn. And, now that I think about it, we got a lot of 4-2 teams, but Texas A&M is definitely weird. They beat Alabama, and that game was completely weird. One, it was at home, and if you go to Texas A&M, you're going to have you're going to have it cut out for you, right? And it's weird because Arkansas beat Texas A&M, and they beat them pretty single-handedly. And it's just odd that it's just a sport we cover here at college football. It's just a weird sport. But I think Texas A&M 23 is a good spot for them again. If they play like their max potential, I mean, imagine if they still had Haynes King as their quarterback. Like, imagine. That's a really good football team. It just, you hate to see injuries and stuff, and don't get to see teams at their full potential. Number 22 is San Diego State. They're kind of in the same boat as UTSA, just not as bad. They don't play nobody. They keep winning. Good for them. They're undefeated. They're a really good team. Okay, number 21 is SMU. Not the same case. SMU beat TCU, which is a pretty good team. And SMU isn't, a Power 5 team or anything like that, so their schedule isn't going to be incredibly hard, but they're still a really good football team, and in my opinion, the toughest team for Cincinnati to face, as they're both in the American, they're both in the same conference. SMU hasn't lost either. That could be Cincinnati's season ruiner whenever they play them coming up. But SMU keep winning, they keep doing good. 20 is Pitt. Pitt's a weird team, and what I mean by weird is they've lost one game, right? And it was a weird loss. And they've looked really good ever since. They went to Neyland and beat Tennessee after we went to that game. And they've looked really good since. Their offense is insane. Insanity. They just keep putting up points left and right. It's crazy. Literally crazy. They keep killing teams. They'll have their work cut out for them against Clemson this coming up week, which I cannot wait to watch that game. As you guys know, I'm a Clemson fan. Nervous. Number 19 is Baylor. This is another odd team. They keep winning in a weird way. I think they actually might be 4-2 as well, or they have one loss. I can't remember. Their one loss is to Oklahoma State, if they only have one loss. And that's not a bad loss at all. And they went and beat a good ranked team this past week. So, good for Baylor. Keep winning. I don't understand how Baylor does it, to be honest, because they don't have the talent like some of the other teams do. They just win. Man, they just win. This team gives me 2019 when they made it to the Pac-12 or Big 12 championship. Good for Baylor, man. Good for Baylor. That coaching staff is incredible there. Number 18 is Auburn. This is another 4-2 team that I said is really good. Like I said, the theme of this top 25 this week is 4-2 teams. Okay, and that even goes back. Arkansas is a 4-2 team, Clemson's a 4-2 team, and I believe Utah's a 4-2 team. It's like the theme of this week. But Auburn is just a team that has looked really good, and they beat the crap out of Arkansas this past week, and they so far have got the closest to beating Georgia, I guess, besides Clemson. So good for Auburn. And I'm gonna be honest, a lot of people question why Clemson's in the honorable mentions, and I'm gonna say this right here: they're one of their losses. The one to NC State obviously is bad. It doesn't look as bad now, but it was pretty bad. They came in 7 points of beating Georgia. That's insane. That's crazy. But yeah, so you're wondering why Clemson honorable mention, but that goes back to Auburn. How impressive Auburn was to getting at least kind of close to Georgia, I guess. 17's NC State. They keep winning. They're on the same boat as Pitt and Wake Forest, where they only have one loss. ACC frontrunners. Good for NC State. Keep winning. They're a good football team. Their defense is actually really good. And their home field advantage helps them a lot, as that place is crazy. Number 16's Wake Forest are actually undefeated. Wouldn't it be crazy? Let me tell you something real fast, okay? If Wake Forest goes undefeated, right, and they have a good shot, they go undefeated and win the ACC championship, Wake Forest will be in the playoffs, probably. Probably. That's crazy. The only way they wouldn't be in the playoffs is everyone else they would play would be behind them in the rankings. But think about that for a second. An undefeated Wake Forest team, an ACC champion, an undefeated ACC champion. Where would you put Wake Forest? Okay, let's say Wake Forest finishes the year undefeated. Where would they be ranked? Let me know in the comments. I think they would probably be in the playoffs. They'd probably be 4. They'd probably be in the playoffs, I think. Which is crazy. Number 15 is Ole Miss. A lot of people have Ole Miss a lot higher than this, and I don't. They got road stomped by Alabama. They looked really bad against Alabama. And then Texas A&M came in there and beat Alabama it was a problem for them, obviously, but it's Ole Miss really bad. And Ole Miss went to Tennessee and barely won this week. I mean, come on. I just don't see. I don't see it. I've never been high on Ole Miss. I don't see it. I don't see what you guys see in them. Besides Matt Corral, he's legit. Lane Kiffin, good offensive mind. I don't see what everyone else sees in Ole Miss, though. Again, I'm not saying they're awful. I still have them 15th. They're still a really good football team. I just don't got them in the top 12 like some other people have them. Number 14 is Kentucky. They just got road stomping against Georgia. Shocker. I still think this team's really good as they got a win against Florida, which I guess doesn't look as good now as Florida dropped them on the LSU. Dan Mullen has to get it figured out, man. He has to get it figured out down there. Number 13 is Notre Dame. They keep winning, even though they lost one against the number 2 team in the country, and it was a close game. I think Notre Dame's better than what people give them credit for. So, yeah, that's why I got them at 13. 12 is Coastal Carolina. They're in the same boat as SMU, San Diego State, UTSA. They don't play anybody. They keep winning. Good for them. Really, the preseason expectations is the only reason they're 12th, and SMU, San Diego State, UTSA is where they're at. They keep winning. They keep beating the teams in front of them, and that's all they can do. Number 11 is Michigan State. I have them so low because they have looked awful, in my opinion. When you watch this team play, they do not. I think the AP poll has them at 7. They don't look like a 7 team. Come on. When you watch them play, they do not look like a number 7. But their record speaks for themselves, so I'm going to put them at 11. Number 10 is Oregon. They got one awful loss. I feel bad for them. I can't believe they dropped that game. They've actually been the same boat as Michigan State, as they have not looked that good recently. So, only one loss, though. Probably still Pac-12 favorites, I want to say. So, yeah, 10. Number 9 and number 8. I want to cover these at the same time because it's Iowa and Penn State. Why? They both have one loss, right? Penn State's loss is to Iowa, which was top 4, right? Iowa's loss is to Tartans, right? So, I have Iowa at 9 instead of 8. over Penn State, even though they have the head-to-head, because I think the only reason, and I'm a firm believer in this, the only reason Iowa lost to Penn State was because of Sean Clifford getting hurt, and I'll stand by that. Okay, and then number 7 is Oklahoma State. They keep winning. They've looked really weird. Now, they did put a beating on Texas at Texas. That was a super impressive win. But sometimes they don't look as good as they think. I can't wait for Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. I think it's going to be a great game, and it's a rivalry. So, I'm looking forward to that game. But Oklahoma State is just one of those teams that I don't know how good they really are, you know? I don't know how good they really are. Number 6 is Ohio State, and I still have them as my Big Ten favorites. They have looked really, really good. Ever since they lost to Oregon, they have looked really, really good. I cannot believe they lost to Oregon. I'm going to be honest, that's one of those college football games that should not happen. I cannot believe they lost to Oregon looking back at that. But Ohio State has looked really good, and CJ Stroud is starting to look like he's definitely Heisman top 3, at least top 3. Yeah, he might be 2 or 1, but he's at least top 3. Number 5 is Michigan. The only reason Michigan's above Ohio State is because they don't have that one loss, and Michigan also has beaten ranked opponents where Ohio State hasn't. Yeah, I don't believe. So, Michigan, Ohio State, and Michigan State, I can't wait for all those 3 teams to play each other and stuff. That's going to be great. Number 4 is Alabama. They got that awful loss to Texas A&M, but, I mean, you went to their place. It's what it is, okay? Alabama's still a really good football team. Obviously, they could still be better than the 3 teams above them. But everything's still in front of Alabama. Nothing's hurt here. They're still a really good football team. Number 3 is Oklahoma, which the reason why I got them number 3, and it crossed my brain to put Alabama above Oklahoma, even though Alabama has a loss, just because Oklahoma has looked bad in some of their past games. But I think with Caleb Williams, I believe that's his name, in there instead of Spencer Rattler, has made a big difference for this team. And when you watch them, okay, listen, they went on the road, right? No, wait, it was at home. It was at home, and they played TCU, and everyone's thinking, all right, TCU is a pretty good football team. We're thinking Oklahoma's going to win probably by a touchdown. That's what everyone was probably thinking. And Oklahoma went in there and beat them by like 25, 30 points, okay, something like that. It was crazy. Caleb Williams, if that's his name, sorry if that's not his name. He is legit. He is a good football player, and he changes this Oklahoma team, so I put them at 3. Number 2 is Cincinnati Bearcats. I called it. Now, I could still be completely wrong, as they could go on next week, and whoever they play, they could easily lose. But I have Cincinnati at 2, and I still think they're going to make the playoffs. I called it when Notre Dame and Cincinnati played. I said the winner of that game would make the playoffs. I will stand by that. Cincinnati is number 2. Number 1 is Georgia. And, yeah, I think if you have anyone else at 1, you don't know what you're talking about. Georgia's the best team in the country by a mile. And I cannot wait for Georgia and Alabama to play. I think this is Georgia's best year at beating them. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is Georgia's year. This is Georgia's year. Could you imagine Georgia going into the playoffs with a win over Clemson and Alabama? Going into the playoffs. Who would not pick them to win the national championship? I know Clemson obviously doesn't look as good now, but just the names. Like if I told you that, if I told you Georgia beat Alabama and Clemson, you'd be like, okay, so they're going to win the national championship. Yeah, I think they're going to win the national championship. Something else I haven't done, and for now on, I'll have like a little screen up here for you guys where I'm going to make also my predictions from now on in these videos. But I'm going to tell you what I think my top 4 is going to be right now. Okay, 1, I think Georgia's going to be there. 2, I think Cincinnati's going to be there. 3, I think Oklahoma will probably. I think 1, Georgia, and I think 2 is actually going to end up being Oklahoma. I think they'll pass them up. I think they'll be undefeated. 3, I think Cincinnati. And 4 spot is wide open, okay? I don't think he'll be Alabama. I think Alabama will lose to Georgia in the SEC championship, and Alabama will have 2 losses. I don't see Alabama making the playoffs this year. That loss to Texas A&M was going to haunt them. Bad. It's probably going to be the Big Ten champion. So now you kind of look at Wake Forest, and I don't think Wake Forest would make it undefeated, actually. I know I said earlier I think they would. I don't think they will. You got Ohio State, Michigan, and Michigan State. I think it's one of those 3 teams. I said Ohio State was Big Ten favorites. I'm going to stick with that. Give me Ohio State. Those are my 4 teams right now. So you got Georgia, Oklahoma, Cincinnati, Ohio State. Cincinnati and Oklahoma, I think it's a really good game. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I'm high on that team. And I know Oklahoma's a whole different breed, but I'm telling you, there's going to be magic with that Cincinnati team. There's going to be magic with that Cincinnati team. And I think Georgia beats Ohio State in a pretty good game, but I think it ends up being like 10 points at the end. I think Georgia gets a late score to put it away. And I think and I think the Cincinnati-Oklahoma game is like a classic. by the way. And then Georgia and Cincinnati, and I'm going to go with Georgia as of right now. I think Georgia will win the national championship. I actually think they'll beat them by 15 points, 20 points. I think it'll end up being pretty bad, as that magic will probably run out. And that is all I got for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe. Go check out my TikTok, my Twitter, and all that good stuff in the description below. Thank you guys for watching this video. Have an amazing day. Peace.